Hello and welcome to Joy Conversations. My name is Tad, but you can call me Tadbusters. And today we have kind of a fun video. We're talking about the Super Smash Brothers movie. Is it real? Well, it could be. I've got Tyler with me. SuitandTyler, how you doing, Tyler?
Doing good, doing good. I've heard rumors. My uncle from Nintendo told me it's happening.
Wait, you have an uncle from Nintendo?
Yeah, from Nintendo, birthed by Nintendo.
Don't believe his lies. Well, I wanted to thank you guys. If you are checking out this video for the first time, Joy Conversations is my podcast here on this channel where we chat all about Nintendo stuff. We chat about gaming, the industry as a whole. So it seems like there's been kind of a recent surge in some subscribers here on my channel, which I really appreciate. Thank you guys for checking it out and checking out this content. Today we're going to be casting the Super Smash Brothers movie. If it's real, let's hope it is, because I think this would make Illumination and Universal and obviously Nintendo a lot of money, and I think we'd like to see it. So I've got myself a roster. We're going to start with Super Smash Brothers Melee, because I think this is kind of a good enough roster where there's not too much, but this is probably, in my opinion, the most realistic version of what a Super Smash Brothers movie will look like. Now, obviously, there's already a lot of these characters already cast in the Super Smash Brothers and Super Smash Brothers Galaxy movie. So, we're going to kind of flesh it out and pick it up where those characters leave off. So, Tyler, how are you feeling about this? Are you ready? Is this daunting to you?
Ooh, too many good characters to pick from to kind of, you'd want to make sure you get the true essence of each one. So, a little daunting, but I'm ready.
I'd rather just have Seth Rogen. If he can just do, half the characters, he's got such a great vocal range. I think we could really count on him for a lot of this. We'll see. Let's start with, so we've got Dr. Mario, Luigi, Bowser, Peach, Yoshi, and DK. Those are already cast in the Super Smash Bros. Movies, so we're going to keep those out, and Fox. So let's start with...
Whoa. Just, I want to point out, we don't have Dr. Mario yet. He could be anybody. Anybody could play him.
You're right. Who do you think, in your opinion, could play as Dr. Mario?
It's got to be Dr. Chris Pratt, right?
I think so, yeah. The alt version of Chris Pratt. So are you positioning it where you think that Dr. Mario and Mario would be two separate, different voice characters? We're not going to do the Chris Pratt alt version. Because I like this idea.
Realistically, it'll probably just be Chris Pratt in a funny voice. But I think it'd be funnier and better if it's somebody else. Because, Mario is the everyman. Chris Pratt fits that very well as
this is true.
The everyman. That's kind of where the casting makes the most sense. But Dr. Mario's not the everyman. He's a more buttoned up, sophisticated Mario rendition. I could totally see like a Sir Patrick Stewart, Sir Ian McKellen.
That's kind of what I'm leaning towards. I would lean towards like an Ian McKellen, like very fancy, the voice is very powerful, and it's a complete opposite of what Chris Pratt is, which I think if you're going to do Dr. Mario correctly, you do it that way. I guess it would have to be it wouldn't actually be Mario then, right? It would be a family member of Mario if we go down that route.
An alternate, the multiverse is here, Dr. Mario will return in Doomsday.
Ian McKellen as Dr. Mario, which I like. The problem is, and I hate to be this guy, he's 90-something years old. Can he live around for a future Super Smash Brothers movie?
Don't say that. Why
He's doing Lord of the Rings. He's doing Lord of the Rings right now. Let's just be real, okay? All right, so we've got Mario. We're good with the rest of them, right? Mario, Luigi, Bowser, Peach, Yoshi, DK. We're not going to adjust to those at all, right? We don't want to recast Yoshi. You don't want to bring in somebody else that did by all means. I think Childish Gambino did a fantastic Yoshi. Nobody else could have done that role like he did.
Honestly, yes. Like that. I'm not even joking about that. It's kind of insane that he did such a good job.
He committed to that role. He really did, Yeah. Captain Falcon. This is actually probably the one that I am most interested in because I love Captain Falcon, and I think this has got to be somebody that's got to bring a lot of energy to the movie and also be very cocky, very egotistical, but also bring a lot of humor to the film. I want to pitch a couple of different characters here. You can tell me what you think. But I think we go like A-list celebrity for Captain Falcon. I would either bring in, hear me out, Brad Pitt or Tom Cruise. I think you go with one of those, and he's just like, he might not be the biggest role in the movie, but when he's on screen, he's on screen. And this would be enough for us to get like, you know, that Tom Cruise or that Brad Pitt, you know, because they're not going to obviously commit to a huge movie. They'll probably commit to like a cameo role. So I don't know. How do you feel about that? Would you go A-list or would you go kind of, you know, B-list here?
I mean, if you're getting Brad Pitt or Tom Cruise, you gotta put Falcon in the whole movie, you know? I love the idea of Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt like avoiding the MCU like a plague, but once Nintendo knocks on their door, they're like, let's go. You know, Tom Cruise's action persona, his go-getter attitude, his charm, all fit Falcon. I was going down the route of like, I was thinking wrestling, not too surprising, but and I was thinking either John Cena or Cody Rhodes. As Cody Rhodes is slowly, he's in the Street Fighter movie right now, or going to be. He is QB1 in the wrestling world. I think he captures that energy that you could, but also John Cena. These are two peas in a pod, these two wrestlers, and John Cena could get the strength and the fun of Falcon. Yeah,
I like that idea. My not to push back, but I just want to throw this at you. We have Ganondorf to cast next, which I was leaning towards a wrestler for that role.
Okay.
You know, but I don't know if you go like if you go with a comedic wrestler like John Cena. Like I don't think he would fit that quite as well. We haven't really seen those serious acting chops from him. Maybe it's just because I watched that Little Brother movie on Netflix recently with him and Eric Andre. So, you know, it's hard for me to imagine that role of like somebody like Captain Falcon. But Captain Falcon is also, you know, he is, like we were talking about in my mind, he's kind of a comedic character, kind of into himself, which we've seen John Cena do for those roles. I am more in tune with Tom Cruise or Brad Pitt. And hear me out, it's because of their previous and most recent roles to Top Gun and to F1. So you've kind of got that almost iconic sense of this character already being in that fast universe. So I think it would fit well. So I'll tell you what, if you give me Tom Cruise or Brad Pitt for this one, I will let you pick between Tom Cruise or Brad Pitt for Captain Falcon.
All right, I'll take it because I actually I was so on the wrestler route that when you brought those two up, I thought those were like really great picks, and I think Tom Cruise is the one.
We're getting expensive here. Tom Cruise and Ian McKellen. What's our budget? We should probably establish a budget here. Got our Tom Cruise. He's coming in hot. Good looking guy.
That's our Falcon.
That's our Falcon right there. All right, Ganondorf.
I wouldn't do John Cena though, and I wouldn't do Cody Rhodes. That's a Batista route for me.
You think, okay,
Batista. I think Batista can get the intensity and also still be comedic because I do feel like in the style of the Mario movies so far, your villain kind of has to be comedic. And
I would agree with you. He kind of looks like Ganondorf too, in a weird way, which is why I'm inclined to agree with you. And he's got like the tats. It's very similar, I would say, to like an evil Drax.
Yeah, I think you could pull off an evil Drax type thing with Ganondorf.
Okay, here we go. We got ourselves some Batista. I'm feeling pretty good about this so far. So next up, we've got Falco. We were talking offline about this, but I don't believe Falco's been cast. I'm going to take a look real quick.
I don't think so. I remember the animation. Like he's more shown off in the animation of the Super Mario Galaxy movie, but I don't think they actually have him voiced. And if so, I think it's mostly, if there is any voice, it's probably just like quick blips from the game. And
it's probably like audible blips, you know, shouts.
Yeah.
Things like that. So Fox has already been cast because we've seen the Super Smash Brothers movie, and that's Glenn Powell. I like Glenn Powell as Fox. He's, I think, a little bit more like comical, and he fits that Super Mario Galaxy Illumination style. I mean, compared to the recent Star Fox game, I personally loved that Star Fox more than I did the Glenn Powell Star Fox. But if we're being realistic here, and we're going to cast the Super Smash Brothers movie realistically, I think we have to kind of go on the same level as somebody with the star power of Glenn Powell, or like maybe a little bit under, like a wingman. For me, I kind of thought Miles Teller And that's just like kind of Top Gun related, where he's snarky. He can bring a little bit of an edge to Fox. But this could be anybody.
Now I'm looking at it and I'm like, who can kind of get that arrogant attitude, but still be like completely lovable? And I'm going Michael B. Jordan. I think he could kind of capture that like brash energy that Falco has and play off. I could see him playing off of Glenn Powell really well because they both like it's like two sides of the same cocky coin. You know what I mean?
Okay, I dig that. Do we imagine he is playing as Michael B. Jordan, or does he have an accent?
Oh, yeah, he has the classic Falcon accent.
Yeah, I think he would just. I like Michael B. Jordan. I think that's pretty cool. Star power wise, that's getting a little expensive. I think if we do cast the rest of the film, you know, have we pushed our A tier list so high at this point, or are you comfortable being like, I think we could go further?
Okay, if we're trying to cut down, get Dan Stevens in there. He can be Falco. I think he's another angle of a guy that plays cocky really well.
Dan Stevens. I like this. I do like Dan Stevens, but he's British, so we bring up the question.
Oh, you're right. No, you're right.
Can Falcon have an accent, Tyler?
Think of that. If Dan Stevens wants to be British, we'll let him, I guess.
If he wants, whatever Dan Stevens wants, you've been Dan Steven right now. Look at that. How do we feel about that?
Beautiful.
That feels better.
The gang's all here.
The gang's all here. This feels good. I like this. You want to keep going? I'll let you take Ness. I'm curious who you think Ness is going to be. I think we go. Well, I'm going to tell you what I think after you pitch it.
You know, Ness, a character with a lot of complexity, a lot of depth, but he's also a spry kid. You got to get that youthful energy. And there's very few people that capture the youthful spirit throughout history. But Mark Hamill does it pretty dang well. And we should get Mark Hamill as a Ness, is all. That dude don't matter his age. He is a child at heart. And that's
I had
what
to
Ness
mute myself because I was laughing too much. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you because I can see the vision. I can see the vision.
Yeah, he could play anything. It's voice acting.
My pushback is, though, we do his brother next. Because I'm thinking in the future, if they do a sequel to Smash Brothers, you have to bring in who was the Lucas, right?
Yeah,
you have
Lucas.
to bring Lucas in. So who can play as Lucas? Is it also Mark Hamill? George Lucas.
It's his brother.
Oh my God. Okay, I'll give it to you. I'll give you Mark Hamill. I think it would just be funny, but I think people are gonna riot. I don't think people are gonna like Mark Hamill as Ness, but I'll go along with it. Who would be a good backup as Ness? Mine was gonna be the kid from It, Jaden Martell. So it's between Mark Hamill or Jaden Martell.
I know my vote. You gave me my choice on Tom Cruise. I'll give you this one. This is probably a more realistic, honest pick, but I'm just saying.
Okay.
Mark Hamill's got range for days.
I think Mark Hamill has a future in the Smash Brothers movie, and I think it exists.
It's just his name.
Well, I have him up there. That. I mean, you know, people don't know who he is, right? You can kind of point around and pick out everybody else, but Jaden Martell's he's kind of a newer actor within the last 10 years. Ice Climbers is technically a 2. That's for 2 people. I don't have any pick for Ice Climbers. I have like zero idea.
My idea is I want Tom Holland and Timothée Chalamet as the Ice Climbers.
But aren't Ice Climbers like male? Isn't it a brother and a sister?
Yeah, give it to Tom Holland. I'm picturing him in that when he shows up as Rihanna in that lip sync battle.
I see.
It's like he could do it.
They're sisters, but they're not canonically siblings.
What does that mean?
They are best friends and childhood companions with a relationship described as less than lovers, but more than friends. So they're buddies. Okay.
Whoa. So Timothy and Tom Holland.
Timothy and Tom Holland.
But my other thought was the Gyllenhaals.
We had a budget. Movie. We have a budget.
Jake Gyllenhaal is not that expensive anymore.
He's a leading man.
If we're trying to think low, keep the budget low. I don't know. Get the girl from Moana.
Catherine Lagai. Okay, I like her. Who do we want to go for the guy?
Let's do The Rock. Keep the Moana thing.
I honestly, I was going to save The Rock for Kirby. I would not expect Kirby to be The Rock. So that's, I think, why it would be the most shocking, and it could fit because it could be kind of funny. I have an idea for the boy for Ice Climbers too. It's the Stranger Things guy. It's Mike from Stranger Things.
Well, you know what? Yeah, we can do some Stranger Things cast. Those are all great young actors.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Kirby might be the real bloodbath though, because The Rock's not a bad choice. But like, have you ever thought of Danny DeVito?
Ooh, that's pretty good. Okay, let me wrap this one up, and then we can get into Kirby. I do like it. All right, we got Finn.
Is that Finn? Yeah.
Finn Wolfward and the girl from Moana. Kirby. Danny DeVito is really good. I think he could
really
be Wario.
Long and hard about that one.
And I do think Wario is in this movie, even though he's not on this roster. I think we can put him on. And we could include Waluigi really quick.
I'll move Danny DeVito to Waluigi. As much as I'd love for him to be Kirby, he was kind of born for I said Waluigi, the Wario role. Role.
Yeah, he's born for it.
He was born to play Wario. I have a dude I think could be relatively affordable.
Okay.
Might be a wild pick. Probably gonna say his name wrong. Daveed Diggs. You know this guy? He's from Hamilton.
Oh, yeah. He was in The Boys. He was in The Boys.
Get him to play Waluigi. I think he's got the flair for it.
Do you feel that he could do Italian? Okay.
It's not that hard. Bada bing,
I can see it. I can see it. Both kind of fit that. So I'm digging this.
Plus, I think it'd be fun to see him play off of Danny DeVito.
Yeah, no, it'd be great. I'm honestly surprised we have not seen Wario or Waluigi yet in either of the films. Daveed Diggs, there we go. Okay. Yeah, nice. I like that. That feels good.
Back to Kirby. Now that we've solved the Danny DeVito crisis. Or who are you saying for Kirby?
I was saving The Rock for Kirby.
Rock.
Yeah, but this is, we're approaching well past our budget. Like, let's just recap here and see what we got. Dr. Ian McKellen is Dr. Mario. Chris Pratt is Mario. Luigi is Charlie Day. Bowser, Jack Black, Anna Taylor-Joy is Peach. Childish Gambino as Yoshi. Seth Rogen as DK. Tom Cruise as Captain Falcon. Ganondorf as Dave Bautista. Dan Stevens as Falco. Glenn Powell as Fox. Jaden Martell as Ness, the Moana girl for the girl from Ice Climbers, and
I think we need the name for that one. I don't know.
What is her name?
I would say Lagaya, but I'm not too sure. Please don't come at me in the comments. And then Finn Wolfhard.
And Finn Wolfhard as the boy.
You think The Rock's too much for Kirby?
I think so. Kirby needs to be a big A-list actor. It needs to be outrageous and crazy. And you expect this cute little fluff ball to be like, hey, it's Kirby. And it comes out and it's like this, you know? He's from the hood. It could be Ice Cube. Ice Cube is Kirby.
I was going to say Steve Harvey. We got to get some Family Feud action in there.
But does Steve Harvey, he doesn't act anymore, does he?
Oh, you could do it. You could get Kirby's.
For some money.
I was going to say that or Vin Diesel. Vin Diesel's probably a pretty penny. But if you're bringing up The Rock, I kind of want to push for Vin Diesel.
Okay.
To just
I see
spark that feud again.
And he's known for doing like voiceover roles. What does he sound like though? Kirby. He just has 2 lines.
He's like,
Kirby.
I remember everything about my father.
King DD, hey, we're family. There we go. We got our Vin Diesel boy.
That's Kirby right there. Real talk though, like if there's a Smash Bros movie, Kirby has to be the main character, right?
That's a good question. I think you really could. Like, and it makes sense because Kirby's in that universe where he can go into outer space, he can go into different galaxies and float around. So I think Kirby is like, maybe his universe is in peril and he has to go and find a Smash Bros to help him save his universe. So I like that idea. But that brings up a point. Is Vin Diesel going to give you that cute little cuddly voice that can be the hero? Because if you cast Vin Diesel's the comic, he's a kind of a comedic sidekick.
Yeah, I could see them, just pitch correct them, make them all sound cute. They did it with you can do it with Kirby too. Why not?
Okay.
If they do a Super Smash Bros. Movie, I would love to see Kirby as your star.
Yeah.
That Sakurai connection. I feel like all the way Subspace Emissary works and just Smash Bros. Ultimate, all their story modes have always kind of centered around Kirby.
Mm-hmm.
Like that'd be the way to introduce Kirby into this world.
Yeah, but real talk, I think if you do Kirby, he's inaudible. He's just doing like the Kirby voices, and you pitch correct him so Vin Diesel is doing those voices, which would be fantastic. I would love that. That'd be hilarious. He gets paid 10 million just to do more I Am Groot voiceovers. I'll stand by it. Vin Diesel is Kirby. Samus. I was originally thinking this would be Brie Larson. This made the most sense to me before she was cast as Rosalina from Super Smash Brothers. Now, don't have a clear idea of Samus, but I do want to go not super triple A list, but we need to have some more female power here, because currently all we have is the girl from Moana and Anna Taylor-Joy.
I actually would love if Samus was Sigourney Weaver. Again, this is voice acting, so she played a child in Avatar anyway. I just love kind of getting this like connection to Alien, like Samus and Metroid has always had. Samus's villain is literally named Ripley.
Yeah, it's definitely kind of a play on Aliens. Samus is a character, right? So I pulled up like a who could play as Samus here, and it's coincidentally the two characters, actually three, that I think. I'm not discarding Ripley. I want it to be a conversation here. I'm not discarding Sigourney Weaver. I just want it to be a conversation as far as like who I think we could pick here. So Sydney Sweeney, I have as my one. I did think about
Elle Fanning. That's a good one.
Yeah, she could be a good one. There's also another one that kind of struck me as another good one, which would be
Emily Blunt.
Yeah. With all of those, or would you still rather go Sigourney Weaver?
So I love Sigourney Weaver for the meta context of it, like the homage of it all. It feels appropriate. And again, with voice acting, I think it works. But when you're going through those, I'm like, Elle Fanning's a good pick. Emily Blunt, I feel like is too obvious. And I think no offense to Emily Blunt, she's great. I'm getting a little tired of her. I've seen her too much in things where I'm like, I don't want to go that direction.
Yeah, she's been in a lot lately, and financially, I think it makes, sense budget-wise right now in, the Hollywood ecosystem to cast kind of somebody who hasn't been in a lot of stuff recently. So I think, I like Mary Elizabeth Winstead, if you're cool with that, or L.A. Fanning. I think both are pretty good options.
I'm never either one, so you go for it.
I would probably go just somebody a little bit younger. So I think Ellie Fanning, because you got to think they're probably going to do a solo movie with Samus at some point, and you need to have somebody who's kind of an A-list actor. She was in Predator, the most recent Predator movie.
Badlands.
Badlands. Yeah, so I think she has the leading power that she could bring to a Samus solo movie. Yeah, I think that's a solid option. So I guess before we get too far ahead, do we envision the Super Smash Brothers movie bringing in the live action version of the Zelda film that's coming out next year to be cast as the voiceover versions of those characters, or is this like a separate alt universe? What's your take on that?
I think they will likely do that if we're being realistic, but that's no fun for this. So I want to try to think of some cool ones we could recast, because it is. They also do have an opportunity to change it, because I think that they're going to have different interpretations of these characters whenever they get to Smash Bros. I think there's inevitably if you have your Zelda movies coming out and you want Zelda in the Smash Bros, it's going to be all animated, and it's going to be more of an Illumination joint, is what I'm seeing. So maybe they are those quote unquote same characters, but don't have to be voiced. I think they probably still get them. It's hard to tell, because it's like you're asking about would Universal and Sony get along when you think of the logistics behind it. And that's where I go probably not. So they probably would just recast them if they wanted to do that. And that's where I go for Zelda.
So they're kind of living in two separate universes in a way.
Yes.
Okay, but they coexist at the same time. I could see that. Also, this is the next question. Do we see, I can't imagine, I'm already going to answer this before I answer the question. I don't want to imagine this happening, but do we see at the end of the Legend of Zelda movie where they go into a animated universe and that's how the film ends?
No, again, because I think there's behind the scenes production reasons why you wouldn't. I don't think Sony would kind of lean into that. And that's where I go well, if they do a Smash Bros movie, it would probably be on the animated route, and they probably still include Link and Zelda and all that. It just would be its own thing.
Do you think they would?
I think so. I think it'd be hard to justify a Smash Bros movie without Link and Zelda.
Totally agree with you. I want to believe that they'll do Zelda, but I don't think, and I'm curious just licensing wise what Nintendo's agreement is. Is it exclusive? I, to be honest, don't think we'll see any Zelda, any Link in the Smash Brothers movie. In fact, I don't think we'll see Pokemon. I think we'll see Mr. Game & Watch and Marth and maybe Roy. But I think, you're adding Ice Climbers, you're adding Kirby, you're adding Samus, you've got Ness. I think it's more of a merger of like Star Fox and Mario in a way. And you're also adding Kirby and, kind of the other characters that your little brother plays as, Ness and Ice Climbers.
I think you say Pokemon for like the sequel. I think a big part of that too is, again, like with product reasons, where Pokemon is a Nintendo property, but it's separate Pokemon company conglomerate. You would have to do separate, I would assume you'd have to do separate dealings with them as well as Nintendo. Again, I don't think it's like too hard of a conversation, but make sure they're talking to each other and get that going. And I think Pokemon's a big enough deal that you could save that for a sequel. And that's your, like, once you do the big blowout, like crossover, the next level would be.
Right.
And I think they just say what they say. I don't think there's any voice acting for the Pokemon, except for Pikachu as Ryan Reynolds. I think they'll keep that one.
You think Pikachu Ryan Reynolds? Is that Universal? That's Universal, right? So yeah, it could work.
I believe that's one.
It could work.
They'll keep Ryan Reynolds there. Yeah.
And I think Mewtwo. Mewtwo's going to be cast as some actor. It could be The Rock,
Yeah, it could be The Rock,
Yeah.
They're friends.
I think we're talking the sequel. So the question is, do we still want to cast that? Because that could be a potential sequel. Let's just go ahead and, I'm going to say, let's do it. Let's do speed round here. Link, Zelda, Young Link, Pokemon we kind of chatted about. So give me, who's your first top pick for Zelda?
Just Zelda, top level pick. First thought, Anne Hathaway.
Okay.
I think it's maybe because Odyssey's on the mind, but also I like the idea of Anne versus Anya.
I actually like this because then Link could be somebody younger. Young Link can be somebody younger, and you can keep somebody around Link a little bit older. We're seeing in the Zelda movie a young Link, right? We acknowledge that it's young Link. And the logo came out recently. It was leaked online that it was a Breath of the Wild logo. So most likely the Zelda movie is going to be Breath of the Wild.
And that's where I think like you could do, like I could totally see Nintendo separating themselves from that. It's like, okay, this Sony one is going to be live action. It's going to be its own universe. It's going to be Breath of the Wild focused. For our Super Smash Bros. Blowout, it's going to be the classic Link. It's going to be Ocarina of Time. You could even get Young Link. I think they'll even go a step further where I could totally see Zelda being casted, but I could see Link having no casting. At the very least, if he's cast, he's speaking in Hyas. He's like, he's doing his grunts. He is only speaking in his iconic grunts.
Okay.
And
I agree with you.
Be from the game itself, or they do a Yoshi and get like I don't know, they get The Rock to do it or something, but.
Yeah, I think you still have to get an actor, and it has to be a AAA actor who plays as Link. And it's more, I think, a cameo role, right? Because he's going to do the Hyatian. I'm gonna throw this out there. Tom Hiddleston.
Tom Hiddleston doing Hyas, but but with his accent, everything, dude.
Yeah, he's got to be British. We've got to have the British Hyats. Hyat. That was a terrible. Terrible rendition.
I kind of hope they just do Toon Link.
Just the Wind Waker Link.
Yeah.
That could be kind of cool. I could see that, and it's Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
I could kind of see Kevin Hart doing a good Hyat.
I can kind of see it. People are gonna hate this. I don't think people are gonna like this. He would bring comedy to it, and here's my reason why. Toon Link is kind of a funny character, right? You've got the Tom Hiddleston version of Link doing the grunts, and then you've got, Toon Link that's kind of funny that maybe adult Link doesn't love a whole lot. But realistically, I don't think we see both. So let's just throw Kevin Hart in here for fun. Who do we think is good as Mewtwo?
I like The Rock. That's not bad. He's got the power behind him.
I have a better one for you. Hugh Jackman.
Ooh, okay.
Hugh Jackman as Mewtwo. Ryan Reynolds as Pikachu.
It's poetic.
And then I think you got Mr. Game & Watch, who was already technically in the Super Mario Galaxy movie.
Yeah, he makes a cameo.
So I don't think he's like voiced by anybody. Marth and Roy. I have an idea, but we've already gone over budget at this point. Jake Gyllenhaal as Marth and
Maggie Gyllenhaal's Roy.
Gyllenhaals are back.
You know what I could see is the Skarsgårds.
That would be good.
I think every Fire Emblem character should be a Skarsgård.
We've got enough of them.
Yeah,
there are
I
enough
think there's
Skarsgårds.
in that family to just be all the Fire Emblem characters, and you're good.
Okay, let's go. Who's the older? Is that Alexander Skarsgård?
I believe so. I think Bill's the younger one.
I think he's a Marth. You're right. Do you go Bill as Roy?
Search up Skarsgårds. I got to see the full family. We got to see the.
You got to see the full roster of Skarsgårds.
Yeah. I don't want to be like. I don't want to jump the gun. I don't want to be brash.
Yeah, Bill is definitely Roy.
Lock it in.
We're probably at 350 at this point, budget-wise.
Yeah, it's Nintendo. They got the money for it.
Nintendo's got the money. This is our dream. Boom. There we go.
We did it, guys.
We did it. Well, this feels good. I think we've got a very expensive roster of. I don't think there's going to be a copy paste of this out there anywhere. This is a unique roster.
Nobody could guess this.
Nobody could guess this. No, not at all. Mark Hamill, R.I.P., didn't make it onto the roster. I would love to see this, and hopefully we get a Vin Diesel solo Kirby movie at some point because, this is what we really need. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What did you think of our roster here? Is it good? Is it trash? Let us know. If they start casting this in the next couple of years and we're close, we'll know that people in Nintendo saw this video. Tyler, where can people find you at?
Yes, follow me at SuitandTyler. Just dropped a new video on Split Fiction and 007 First Light, and more to come.
Well, for more Smash Brother roster tips and tricks, you can follow us here at youtube.com/Tadbusters. Please make sure to subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out. And if you're new here, thank you so much for checking this video out. Make sure to like, comment, do all that YouTube jazz. And in the meantime, I love you guys. Be kind, play on. We'll see you in the next video. Bye!